Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution.
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 You want a revolution?
You say you want a revolution?
Revolution. The revolution.
It's going on right now.
Welcome to The Revolution, the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we ask today's most successful entrepreneurs to share the tools and strategies they use to build relationships and connections to grow their revenue. Now, your host for The Revolution, John Corcoran.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I'm the host of the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where I get to talk with really smart CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs of all kinds of amazing companies and organizations like YPO, EO, Activation Blizzard, LendingTree, OpenTable, Axsoft Software, and many more. I'm also the co-founder of Rise25, where we help to connect B2B business owners to their ideal prospects. And today I've got a great guest. It's my friend Stephen Cleere is his name. He's the Chief Brand Developer at Next Level Brands. He helps extensively food and consumer packaged goods companies. And for over 30 years, he's been actively involved in marketing, advertising, and promotion disciplines. In 2014, he founded Next Level Brands, which is a consulting group aimed at helping small and medium-sized businesses to scale and to grow, especially working, as I said, in the food and CPG areas. He previously worked as co-founder and managing partner at Trade Marketing Inc., aka TMI Group, which is a retail marketing agency. And he's worked in grocery, drug, mass and specialty retailing, including co-op software development, promotion evaluation, key account profitability, and all those different areas. And so we're going to be talking extensively about what's going on in the food supply chain, what's happening with food makers and manufacturers. Finally, also in 2019, Steve and his wife, Deborah Armstrong, combined backgrounds, and they created Kitchen to Shelf, which is an educational service that provides online courses and in-person workshops for food and beverage entrepreneurs at all stages of growth. But first, before we get into this whole discussion here, I wanted to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Rise25 Media, which is my company I co-founded with my business partner, Dr. Jeremy Weiss. And we help B2B businesses to get clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships and ROI with done-for-you podcasts and content marketing. If you're listening to this and you listen to podcasts from time to time, you ever thought, should I do a podcast? Well, we absolutely say wholeheartedly yes. I've been doing it for 10 years. One of the best things I've ever done. And Steve, we've helped you with your podcast, and you are a podcaster. Talk a little bit about, what impact it's had for you doing the podcast.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, actually, so I started podcast last summer, and a weekly show, the Next Level Brands podcast. And basically the idea was to reach out to people within the CPG industry, large or small, but particularly to talk to founders who'd had some success and whatever else. Well, first of all, number one, it's been like the most fun you can possibly imagine. That's the first thing. It's been absolutely great. And secondly, as I've learned so much from doing the shows myself, it's been a full-on education. And third, for relationships and stuff with people, it's been, I don't think I could find a better tool or a better use of time. Not only great relationships, but I have 2 people who became clients and 2 more people that we're talking to right now about working together, none of whom would have happened without them being on the podcast.
That's excellent. I love to hear that. It's so gratifying. And, personally, I've been to people's weddings who I connected with through podcasts. I've been on vacation together, had so many great meals. And so there's so many great relationships that really come out of it. And I'm really glad to hear that. So anyways, if you're listening to this, if you listen to podcasts from time to time, if you're curious about it, give us a call or shoot us an email at support@rise25media or check us out at rise25media.com. All right, Steve. So I do want to dive into your background. We can talk some more about the podcast as well, but I do want to dive into your background. But I want to start because we're recording this in beginning of May 2020. Coronavirus pandemic is still underway. There's talk of it less lightening up and people, being able to move about a little bit more freely again. But top of mind for everyone has been our food supply chain. And food companies are one of the few companies that are really essential for the most part because we can't live without food, of course. So what has the experience been like for the last couple of months with you and your clients and, what they're doing to survive? let's start there.
Okay. Well, certainly there has been a profound change in the consumer packaged goods industry. So there's been a change in the fact of the way people buy stuff, what they can buy, what they decided to buy when they were going to start hoarding.
Toilet paper. And
yeah, right, exactly. So in the first few weeks, now toilet paper takes a bad rap, but the truth of the matter of toilet paper is, in industry jargon, it cubes out too quickly, meaning it's too bulky, right? It takes up too much room. It doesn't have much profit in a 12-pack of toilet paper, pennies, right? So nobody keeps the stuff. Your store doesn't keep it in the back room.
It takes up too much space.
Doesn't keep it, right? Even the manufacturer, basically just in time. So as soon as we got hit, it was like you would walk into the store and the two things that were gone were there was no toilet paper and there was no top ramen. But there were ribs, stacks of baby back ribs in every cooler in the store. So it's taken a while to kind of get that around. And now we've obviously had supply chain hits. So the meat packing plants and whatever, and that's affected pork to a certain extent, chicken, probably going to affect beef pretty shortly. But people say, oh, well, the supply chain's broken. Well, it's not really broken. It's just under a lot of stress. First of all, because consumers can't figure out what they want to buy from week to week. And when they do, they buy 10 instead of 1. And so that the supply chain wasn't built around that. The supply chain's built around efficiency. And that means getting the right amount of stuff to the right amount of places. And that's it. So we've confused the heck out of it. From the manufacturer side, wow, it just depends upon the business you're in, John. So the manufacturing side, if you're Campbell Soup, oh my goodness, what a quarter you've had, absolutely. If you're, air freshener, no, Lysol, oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know, whatever, coffee filters, maybe coffee filters doing okay. But it's just that thing of where you are in the spectrum of what people are buying. And it's been absolutely crazy. As for clients that I work with, the divide has been swift and sure, and that is those who are well developed in e-commerce for the most part are thriving and going crazy. And those who were relying 100% on retail or on local sales or whatever are struggling, or some even on hiatus at this point. They're just going to wait until smoke clears.
Wow, that's amazing to think that some food makers are on hiatus, because the perception is that that's one of the industries that's continued going.
Yeah, in the spectrum, food ranges everything from, $20 a pound chocolate, down to, private label cereal. And private label cereal is doing really well. Chocolate, not so much, but they're both in the food business.
Yeah. And so what are companies you mentioned e-commerce, and e-commerce, there's been, a big movement in the industry for CPG companies to move into e-commerce, but some have dragged their feet. And so you mentioned that, some companies are thriving when they've embraced e-commerce. Others are some scrambling to get into the industry now, or to get into e-commerce. And is it even possible to pivot on a dime and do that?
Right. So one of the things that's changed a little bit in the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks was, yes, initially Amazon in particular, because that's the big guy in the ring, shut off any new types of products, period. Then they started opening up a little bit to products that are considered, which most of the food stuff is. You and I might not consider it essential, but they can't draw those lines. So they just say, okay, ketchup, new ketchup, great, that's fine, that's essential. And so they have opened up. As a matter of fact, they've opened up to, I think, become more efficient at the process of vetting companies that want to be on Amazon, to the point where they're doing like video presentations now instead of more lengthy form stuff. And that's going to have an effect. So you can get on. I have actually had a client who got on within the last 2 weeks. But it was a scramble because they weren't prepared for packaging, those kind of things. What was going to happen? Were they going to fulfill it themselves? Were they going to fulfill it by Amazon? How was that all going to work? So it's definitely been a challenge. But those who were already in and had products that were non-perishable in particular started doing business equivalent to Black Friday sales like about March 12th, and really it hasn't let off yet, which is probably one of the more profound changes in the industry. is that people who never bought food online have purchased food online now. Those that were already purchasing food online are, ramping up their purchases. And those people who never bought anything online are also coming in. So Amazon had the best Prime membership run in March that they've ever had. I mean, just people signing up for Prime. So that's probably not going to go back. First of all, if your product is not widely available in retail, but it is online, that consumer when they go back into the store on a regular basis, your product's not going to be there. They're going to continue to buy it online. We've also gotten used to doing it. We've gotten used to the convenience, so it's, I don't think that we're going to buy fresh carrots and celery or ground beef anytime soon, although maybe, who knows? But certainly anything that is a brand, anything that comes in a box or a package, it's the same in the store as it is in the Amazon truck. So it doesn't make any difference.
Right. And, grocery delivery services like, Instacart and Safeway has their own, and Amazon, of course, have been growing in popularity in recent years. And you think that this is going to be a leap forward where everyone's going to be, doing grocery delivery from now on, or do you think there'll be some retraction?
My best guess is there'll be a slight retraction, because I think, there is a lot of panic reaction still going on. But when it settles down to whatever the new normal is, I think those players that are doing delivery are going to be very well placed. I think the other aspect of the business is what we call click and collect, which is you buy online, for instance, at Walmart, and then you at 4:00 in the afternoon, you drive down into the parking lot and they come out and they load the back of your car. So not only is that really easy, but I think that, that had really started to grow. And now I think it's going to, everybody, Kroger, Albertsons, everyone's going to be doing that. It's going to be a major part of their business.
Yeah.
But those guys who have e-commerce arms, so Walmart.com, Kroger.com, Albertsons.com, a tremendous amount of effort is going to go into solidifying those businesses based on what consumers have shown that they're going to do, which is shop online for food.
Yeah. We have a fun one that we've been participating in, Imperfect Foods. It was originally called Imperfect Produce,
Sure.
which I'm sure you're familiar with because it's
Yes.
originally a Bay Area company. We did it about 3 or 4 years ago, then stopped doing it. And now with like the limited availability over the last few weeks in the San Francisco Bay Area of grocery delivery options, Safeway was taking weeks to get to delivery. Same with Whole Foods. We went back to it and we love it. They do a once a week delivery, huge box of food, some good deals because they're misshapen apples, but they're perfectly, good, that sort of thing. So that's an interesting option that we've enjoyed.
Yeah, there's all kinds of, and there's also people like Thrive that do organic. There's the boxed people that do large quantities, and they just got, hit like crazy. There's a whole bunch of others in between. And I think all of those are going to do well. I don't think any of them are going to match Amazon. I mean, certainly. But what's going to be interesting from an industry observer point of view is that Walmart is very, very serious about Walmart.com becoming a player to Amazon. And they have maybe not quite as deep a pocket as Amazon does, but they sure have money to spend. And they're going to try to find out what can we do that Amazon can't do. And right now, the one thing they can do is they can tie in the physical stores easier to e-commerce than Amazon can to Whole Foods, because there's a lot less Whole Foods and they aren't necessarily in all the places where Walmart shoppers are. So I think that's going to be a big deal. And I tell my clients, if you're on both platforms, which a lot of my clients are, this is like a battle between two elephants, and we're little ants running around on the ground. We just don't want to get stepped on. That's all. Just stay out of the way. Let them do what they're going to do. Be nice to everybody.
It has been interesting, though, because I know a lot of e-commerce brands and sellers, individuals who are in e-commerce. A lot of them, their attitude in the last few years has been like, I'm crushing it on Amazon. Why should I bother with Walmart? Because Walmart is in terms of e-commerce, is such a small piece of the market. Do you feel that those attitudes are changing?
I think so. I think the two things, you have two uphill battles with Walmart. One is do I want to be on an e-commerce platform that doesn't represent as great a potential as Amazon does. And that's a fair shot. Secondly, is a number of people that are in those more upscale brands or whatever else, they don't really know if they want to be in Walmart or not. Right. And I try to understand when people, but I don't agree with that at all, because first of all, Walmart.com is not Walmart, the store. And you should be pretty much, if you're a manufacturer, pretty much agnostic about where people buy your product. So if Walmart wants to sell my product on Walmart.com, I'm more than happy. And I tell my clients, you want to be there, because they're going to spend money, and they're going to spend money promoting, right, the business and the products that are on it. And if you're a unique product, you're going to be one of the ones that gets promoted. They don't need to promote, frozen potatoes, because they don't. Everybody knows what they are. But if they can point to things, I think it's an opportunity that a lot of people are going to miss, just like they missed Amazon.
Yeah.
But I would be there unless I had a really brand strategy thing that told me, no, you don't want to be associated with Walmart. So.
Right. Speaking of unique products that have emerged in recent years, the fake meat industry, the Beyond Burger, the Impossible. What are your thoughts on that emerging trend?
So the fake meat kind of has two sides to it, and sorry, I don't want anybody to take offense if you're a producer of cellular-based or plant-based meats. The two sides,
I guess it's it's probably not the preferred term, but it's the first one that came to mind. Yeah.
So you have plant-based, and then you have cellular, which is made from, organic mammal material, right? It's made from cows. But it's cellular, and then it's grown. That's a whole kind of, I call it Frankenmeat. That's the whole Frankenmeat thing.
Right. Yeah, I guess I was referring more to plant-based meats, which actually I love. I've tried a number of them. It's been fascinating to try them. It's amazing the texture and how much progress they've made, how different they are from the garden burgers of 15 years ago.
An absolutely great job. So I think the phase that they're now, COVID notwithstanding for a minute, the phase they were in prior to COVID was what we call a discovery phase, which was, everybody was trying to get them on their menus. If you were fast food place or a restaurant, everybody was trying to get them into stores. Production could not come close to demand, right? So the good thing that kind of happened with them is that this thing hit, it basically is going to allow them to ramp production up to meet whatever the demand is going to be. And the fact that coming out of this, I think a lot more consumers are going to have an increased health outlook toward what they eat, whether that's functional, nutraceutical, whatever it is. But I think, you have kids, right? And I think your heightened awareness of germs, of diseases, of health in general is simply going to increase. That will translate down. So where they might go at this point is going to be, they will represent a significant portion of a, weekly meal. Whether that's you going and getting one for lunch, or whether actually feeding the entire family, I don't know, but I think that's where that's going to go. But I'm not sure that the valuations currently placed on a number of the players are going to be consistent with what that percentage is when it's done. I think it's going to be there, but so I suspect that a number of the current players that are out there that are independent will be purchased by Tyson, other meat producers, whatever, who will say, okay, this is in the portfolio. People are going to do it. We've made our own. It's not selling so well, so we'll go out and we'll buy,
For the same reason that Coke and Pepsi starts selling bottled water, is they need to diversify in case the market goes so far away from their core product that they're kind of losing out on a piece of the business. Now, you've been really involved in food incubators and food startups. It's funny because food is one of those industries that you wouldn't think that there's a lot of innovation happening. But, as we mentioned with the plant-based meats and all kinds of, there's constant innovation, constantly new products, new companies coming along. What are some of the trends you have your eye on? What are some of the exciting new markets that, that innovative food startups are involved in?
Well, across the board, there has been a growing trend for what we call NOSH, which is natural, organic, specialty, and healthy foods. That's That's really been the trend. And most of the stuff, whether that's plant-based meats or plant-based milks or anything else, is coming out of that sector. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other sectors. Very, very high-end, single origin chocolates. What's a single origin chocolate? It's a bean that's only grown in New Guinea. Just like high-end wine, it's the terroir of the coffee bean, or the chocolate bean, so that the cacao. So that's the other end of the scale. But there's still that innovation going on. And I think functional foods and food as medicine is really going to be the next area. From a taste standpoint, we continue to go global with tastes. And so very obscure berries and other things from Africa and South America that are used in recipes to give distinctive flavor are, on the foodie side of it, are the big things that are coming up. And that's just going to continue because there's tales behind all of those about the origin of the plant, the god of whatever created it. It's all this wonderful story stuff, and it's not cinnamon or nutmeg. So this is great.
Something new, right?
Yeah,
right. That's how I felt when I discovered acai, which is grown mostly in the Amazon rainforest and really popular with acai bowls and shakes and things like that. And I was like, wow, it's like, how often do you discover a new berry, a new fruit? Not very often, right?
Nope. And yet they're out there and they're being and they're being cultivated and because now you have a wider range of stuff. Now, for most people that are looking at food consumption, before we went into the storm, the crisis, Americans generally were running about 50% of food consumed outside the home, 50% in the home.
Wow, that's a major change.
That got smacked. So that's probably 85% in home now and 15% outside.
Yeah.
The best stuff that research I've looked into is that's probably not going back to 50-50 anytime soon. As a matter of fact, probably food service restaurants will be lucky to get back to 20% to maybe 30, but 50 is not going to happen for a long time within the new normal.
And is that because of our new attitudes towards social distancing, or is it or is it because the economy also has gone down, fewer people have disposable income?
All those things. First of all, we've broken habits. That's the first thing, right? And we've been in this long enough, 6 weeks, 8 weeks now for some of us, that you have new habits. Secondly, Americans, despite the fact they're unemployed and in droves, are also saving money. A lot of people, for the first time ever, they're not spending as much money because they're not eating out. It's one of the reasons. Okay, it's cheaper to eat home. This pandemic may save the meal kit industry, the kits that you go in and buy and get delivered by HelloFresh, and
which that's a whole nother discussion because there's a lot of companies that's got into that, and then companies that failed, and they are skyrocketing. Now, they're skyrocketing, especially the stuff that you go in the store and buy, because people just go in, it's already there. I don't have to worry about it. I don't really know how to cook, so I'm just going to go ahead and prepare this stuff. So they're not going back to those old habits anytime soon. Social distancing, we've got a second round of flu season coming in 2020. Should arrive late September. Who knows? What we do know is, and again, best research I've done is normal. What we used to remember as normal is probably somewhere in 2023, because the first thing we need to have a readily available vaccine. And the key to that is the first two words, readily available. Until we have we'll have a vaccine in a year, but it's not going to be ready available. So it won't change anything. And when the second wave comes, as it did with the Spanish flu, the second wave comes, how we react to that is going to determine a lot of whether or not we can trample it down for once and for all, or whether it's going to, go on for another year. I mean, it's entirely possible. So if it follows SARS and some of the other stuff, it will, of course, eventually work out and we'll get immune to it. But right.
In the industry.
We're running a little low on time, but I do want to ask you about kitchen to shelf, and this relates to our social distancing and things moving more online. You've created more of an online course. Talk a little bit about the motivation behind that, and how do you teach food startups to innovate from a distance using an online course?
Well, so the basic idea is that when I started working with startups, that there were far more people who were interested in getting into the business and had innovative products, great ideas, and great recipes than I had time to be able to work with them. It just wasn't. So what was the alternative? The alternative, my wife being an educator and trainer, is she said, let's do courses. And so we started out by doing workshops on a local basis. And then that led to the online course to be able to reach even more people. But there still is a tremendous pent-up demand out there in food and beverage, and to a certain extent in natural health and beauty aids as well, supplements and natural, cosmetics, those kind of things. But these are all people who want to succeed in an industry that is years old, pretty staid, and basically built on, not on the love of food but built on efficiency. And as a result, there's standard industry practices that you kind of have to go through. And what I found was that a number of the people I'm working with, they're all going through the same things. I'm having the same conversations over and over again about what your case side needs to be. How do you pay a distributor? What are slotting funds? All of those things. And so the idea was to say, let's put this into a course. And we did a first pilot last year. And then we created a second one, and we're actually right now we're in the sweetening phase of production, as they call it, of the online course that we piloted last year. So Kitchen to Shelf was basically, if you want to learn about the business, whether you have an idea or whether you're selling at a farmer's market, or maybe you even have some local, maybe you're on Amazon, but you really want to be in Kroger or Albertsons or Safeway, then the course is available and it will save you thousands of dollars. So it's Kitchen to Shelf. That's kitchen, the number 2, shelf.com. And you can go onto the website and get more information there.
Well, this has been great, Steve. Thanks so much for doing this. I want to wrap things up with the question I always ask, which is, let's pretend we're at an awards banquet, much like the Oscars and the Emmys, and you're receiving an award for lifetime achievement for everything that you've done up until this point. And what we all want to know is, who do you thank? In addition to family and friends, of course, who are the mentors, who are the friends, who are the business partners, who are the people that you acknowledge?
So, of course, always my wife first, because that's going to be first thing. But it's also true because she's in business with me, and she's been a great help and a supporter of all the crazy stuff that I want to do. My ex-partner at Trade Marketing Incorporated, Frank Salisbury, was, we had a business together for 22 years, and, a marriage, if you will, of ideas and different strengths and whatever, and could not have done without Frank. And he's retired now, and that's absolutely great. And that's very important. And then a lot of my clients from that period of time became friends, still are friends, all very valuable relationships with those people. And it's one of the things I was actually talking to a student at Cal Poly yesterday. And one of the things I said is, you got to remember, this is a big industry, but it's a really small circle of people. So my friend Jeff Freeman at Man Packing, Jeff and I have known each other for 20 plus years. I have worked with Jeff, I counted the other day, at 7 different companies. So, and the point is basically it's a networking, and you think it's huge. It is a huge industry, but they've been very supportive of whatever. What I want to do now is I want to give back to those people who are starting and who are in those businesses and want to make a difference in food and beverage going forward.
That's great. I love that. Well, nextlevelmarketing.com with 2 X's, NEXXT, levelmarketing.com. The Next Level Brands podcast, again, look for it on any of your podcast players with 2 X's. And also kitchen, the number 2, shelf.com. Steve, where else can people learn more about you, connect with you, LinkedIn?
Hey, absolutely. Yeah, my profile on LinkedIn is always available, and then nextlevelmarketing.com will get to my email, steve@nextlevelmarketing.com, or just go to the website, or steve@kitchen2shelf.com. We'll get you there and find out all you need to know.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast with John Corcoran. Find out more at smartbusinessrevolution.com. And while you're there, sign up for our email list and join the revolution.
Revolution.
And be listening for the next episode of the Smart Business Revolution podcast.